What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for September 4th, 2023. It's been 10 plus days without a move to the next wave in the PTU. We got a second sound ISC before we got the second one on server meshing, and Starfield came out, so I'm sure none of you even care at this point. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, every day but Monday, so I can get this video out to you guys. But we don't have a lot to get through this week, but let's jump into the patches that we had and what was going on with 320. And with that, we had two patches, one on Wednesday, which was majority bug fixes, and they fixed some inventory bugs where inventory was like turning black and you couldn't really see it, and a number of bugs with the hull C. So you can enter the engineering area now. You will get a hangar if docking collars are in use, and they fixed 2 infinite black screens with prison. There was also some Marina Commander updates. They disabled a few modes because honestly, there just isn't that many people playing, especially during the week. So disabling a few modes to condense a little bit probably made some sense. 2 Fury, 2 Furious is out. Single weapon elimination is out. Duel is out. And Vandal Swarm without master modes is out. But they added in Battle Royale and Elimination back into the fold, which have been around forever. And then there were some feature updates where they adjusted the lap requirements on some of the tracks, and some other bug fixes with HUD elements coming back into master modes, which were missing. So it kind of made it really difficult to test master modes without being able to see the pip, right? And then there's a bunch of things that were not in the notes that I am aware of. So rotation of guns and gun rush is completely new now. An insane amount of cargo on the salvage missions have been reduced. I think they're still quite good levels, but you could make a few million at Wake of Disaster, but I think that these can still be improved as well. And then a Friday patch. I didn't even get to try this yet. So bug fixes for that. And a huge one here is that EVA should be fixed. We've been dealing with this one for a very long time, where you're no longer going to spin around like crazy when you enter EVA now. They also fixed a pretty bad one with inventory where you couldn't store something after putting it in your hands. There were also a couple of hot fixes this week, but there were no notes on those. And with that said, I think as a backer of Star Citizen, I would love to see more communication around things like this on Twitter, video updates, and things like that as well, right? There's tons of things that you could talk about with Star Citizen, but CIG just doesn't choose to talk about them on most of their communication platforms. So it's kind of frustrating as a backer, but hey, I guess it is what it is. It's all about making that money, right? So speaking of that, let's move into video updates. And with that, we just had one video inside Star Citizen. This sounds like ship. The first clip I want to share with you is some work that they've done more recently to speed up the process of making ships and their ambient sounds.
We call that a bed because that's the thing you lay on, basically. You rely on that to make it believable. And it's one thing you don't really hear. You don't pay attention to it, but it's there and it makes it believable as a space you're in. And you can really sell the immersion of a ship.
Presently, this is all done by hand, and it takes a lot of time. So, myself and Corentin have banded together to make overarching systems which will take less input and make all the ship systems unified, and in turn, these ambiences will become already generated on the ship at runtime. Because we know how a Drake ship's supposed to sound, we know how a MISC ship's supposed to sound. We can implement that before the ship even exists in order to save us time and then allow us to spend more time on the really characterful elements, the thrusters, the moving parts, anything that really brings that higher level of quality to the ship at the end.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Every ship manufacturer will now have its base blanket of sounds and make it sound like Drake, or, a Drake ship sounds like a Drake ship, a Banu ship sounds like a Banu ship. But then the next step in the process is what I find to be really cool.
With physicalized components, we thought it would really be a good idea to have them be the center of attention for the rework of ship ambiances. meaning you can have all sorts of different components in your ship, shield generator, power plant, all that stuff. These would have sounds attached to them, being reactive and all that stuff, depending on what you do in your ship. And that would then fill all the space inside a ship.
So yeah, taking all the different components and adding special sounds to them is going to be really awesome. Imagine just knowing what drive is in a ship just by listening to it. But I think we've barely scratched the surface of the number of components and types we need to have a great experience in Star Citizen. Like making special sounds on all of these is probably going to be incredibly time consuming and maybe isn't the best idea, but at the same time, it's really cool. And SEL was supposed to happen this week with the Arena Commander team, but there was like a strike or something with the trains, and that's made it not possible to have a show this week. But outside of what is next, I'm not really sure what they can have talked about, because they really delivered on everything they intended for the most part, and I'm not sure what they would have added to here. And then finally, for other updates, we, as always, start out with a sneak peek, and it looks like a settlement outpost with a door that leads to a ladder. Not sure what to make of this exactly, and I don't think we should really be making much of anything with it, as with most of the sneak peeks. It's likely just going to be like a CitizenCon keynote thing at a pyro outpost, right? At best, it could be settlements that we see later in 320 in like a 320.1 or a 320.2, because it's feeling like that's what we're going to be getting. A repeat of 317 for the rest of the year is sort of what I might be predicting here, which isn't great. And then Ship Showdown Round 2 should be over by the time this video comes out. There's a free fly with all the Round 2 ships. Redeemer versus Arrow. Redeemer is now in the semis. Vulture versus Terrapin. Vulture won, unfortunately. I think the Terrapin would have been cool because I don't think the Terrapin can get paints, so it would be neat if they did make them. And then Corsair versus Andromeda. The Corsair won. 600i versus Cutter. It's extremely close as of the recording of this video, but it looks like the 600i is going to win by just a little bit. And moving on. Galactapedia, the main article was about a treaty that ended the human-Xi'an Cold War, and then side articles were mostly Xi'an systems, so they must be thinking about them right now from a lore perspective, but I'm not expecting it to turn into anything in-game anytime soon, and that'll do it for this week. So thank you so much for watching. As many of you know, Starfield is out, so there's also a ton of holidays that are coming up, and I imagine this week coming up is not going to be much better than this week. If it could possibly be worse, so just enjoy other games. I have very little desire to actually play the PTU now, outside of testing a few key features that need some love. So, the reasons for changing the PTU waves are existing on me right now. I've played it quite a bit, but I don't want to play it much more. So anyway, thanks for all your support so far this year. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed the video, hit subscribe for more weeks in review, and comment down below on anything we spoke about today. And if you want to go the extra mile, there is a join button below, as some other members already have. And as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.